Battle Royale is a Japanese novel that was published in 1999 by a filmmaker and screenwriter. The novel, which was later converted into a movie, was set in a dystopian Japan, in which high schoolers are put to fight to death by the Japanese government. As the concept as well as the substance of the film was so controversial, it was banned from distribution in many countries. Despite these limitations, the movie was popular, the concept was new at the time, hence more movies were made in which the Battle Royale concept was the crux of the films. Years later, the discussion of the early access H1Z1 surfaced. History was made on the 18th of February 2016. H1Z1 was released for everyone to play. Sure, the game had a lot of undesirable kinks, but due to little to no competition, was a success, selling approximately 8.35 million units. That figure is perhaps equivalent to the number of words I've written in my life, or more realistically, the number of nuts I've busted. To make a long story short, H1Z1 was a huge success, and paved way for future Battle Royale games. PUBG was the next big baddie for the Battle Royale genre. It was released on the 23rd of March 2017, selling approximately 28.94 million units.
Wow, look at this, guys. I can't believe we made all this in one game.
Then, shortly after, came the free-to-play Battle Royale game, which we all know and may not necessarily love, Fortnite Battle Royale. The game has been downloaded more than 45 million times, and currently has 2 million concurrent players. However, those statistics are across all platforms. Keep in mind that Fortnite Battle Royale is available on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, which segues nicely into the first point of comparison, that platforms for which both games are available on. PUBG is only available on PC. There is also the terribly optimized Xbox One version, but saying that is a genuine game would be mean. I mean, come on, that'd be like saying Black Ops 3 on the previous gen consoles is a game. Jokes aside, Fortnite does have the upper hand here, as the game is also available on the PS4, which has significantly more users compared to the Xbox One. As mentioned by most reviewers, and well, let's be honest, people making this exact video, PUBG's gameplay is more realistic. Bullet drop and travel time are game-altering mechanics, which are not present in Fortnite. Fortnite, however, has a building mechanic, in which materials can be picked up and mined. Once you have the sufficient quantity of a certain material, you can build an array of different structures. The structures you build are also game-altering. You can build to protect yourself from incoming fire, reach items in which you couldn't otherwise, etc. And finally, perspectives. In PUBG, you can go from first to third person, which is useful for long-range kills. Fortnite is third person only, but this isn't much of an issue, as all players face the same handicap. Oh, and one more thing, you can use vehicles in PUBG to cover vast distances. In addition, running over enemies can grant you kills.
Oh, care package.
Oh, what? I didn't even see them! What the fuck?
Essentially, PUBG has a larger learning curve than Fortnite. Thus, PUBG players often have a more reserved playstyle compared to the aggressive playstyle typically associated with Fortnite. PUBG was developed by Bluehole, a development studio which is very small compared to Epic Games, the developers of Fortnite. Hence, Fortnite is better optimized across all platforms. It also means that Fortnite receives more developer support, which would explain the constant updates made to Fortnite. In addition, bugs are also ironed out quite quickly, resulting in generally smooth games. PUBG, however, is the opposite. The game has had little added to it since its release, and gameplay can be quite buggy. Yes, the game is still buggy, even though it is currently in version 1.0. Also, there are a lot of hackers. A lot of damn hackers. Fortnite also experienced a wave of hackers during the early weeks of release, however have made public examples out of them by filing lawsuits against them. Epic Games are heartless. They probably saw a 2-year-old, or even worse, the legend himself, Johnny D.
Gucci gang, 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 Gucci gang.
Stop it! Stop it, guys! Stop it immediately!
Kill him!
Don't you
Get him!
I'm your brother!
PUBG attempts to simulate every element of real-life combat. In this case, the graphics of the game are no exception. PUBG is obviously going for the militaristic approach, as the graphics of the game complement this idea. Whilst having a blander colour scheme, it is easier to blend into PUBG's environment, which poses to be both an advantage and a disadvantage. Fortnite's graphic style is cartoonish, with bright and vibrant colours which clearly contrast each other. This includes enemies, weapons, the surrounding environment, etc. PUBG is notorious and almost infamous for its buggy gameplay, poor optimization when compared to AAA titles, and perhaps most worryingly, its hackers. PUBG has had an issue with hackers ever since its release. Hackers are detrimental to a game's sustainability as they can enrage players and can force them to shift to other games. In regards to PUBG's buggy gameplay, this would be excusable if the game was still in alpha, or even beta for that matter. However, the game is now in version 1.0, with almost all of the bugs from previous versions remaining. This can leave a sour taste in the mouths of fans who feel as if they have been spat on by the developers, who in the player's eyes may not be working to fix these issues. Bluehole has never released a game this big, thus logic would dictate that they are most definitely working hard to fix these issues and to keep gamers playing the game. However, public image means everything. After all, how did games such as Warbreakers and Destiny 2 die? Well, there were other contributing factors to the death of those games, such as lack of substance and poor marketing, but you get the point. Or do you? Come on, let me have this one. No? Well, fuck you then. Fortnite, however, cannot be left off the hook. The game also has its fair share of issues, some of which include frequent lag spikes, server crashes, and the non-inclusion of vehicles. Although the map is smaller than in other Battle Royale games, vehicles provide interesting gameplay elements, particularly traversing the map quicker and being able to run over opponents. In this regard, Fortnite has a considerable advantage. Not only is the game's Battle Royale mode free, but the survival mode costs approximately the same as PUBG. Thus, with Fortnite, you are fundamentally receiving two games in one, whereas with PUBG, you are only receiving the Battle Royale mode. In addition, Fortnite is regularly updated with temporary Battle Royale game modes, some of which include 50 vs 50 and Sneaky Silencers. These modes can really help a fanbase remain interested in the game and can extend the game's lifespan by a surprising amount. In conclusion, comparing PUBG with Fortnite is like comparing apples with oranges. I know that this response is hackneyed, however hear me out. Due to the vastly different gameplay elements, both games are unique. Hence, when determining which game is better, it is down to personal preference. I say this as there are a lot of variables to sift through, further proving that the games are dissimilar. Do you prefer stagnant, more strategic gameplay, or the sporadic gunfights which ensue when playing Fortnite? Do you prefer the wacky dance moves and cartoon graphics, or do you prefer the more realistic experience? The list is endless.